you have learned the different types of business organizations as well as the characteristics of each type. You can now decide which type better suits your needs and preferences. Having in mind the features of a corporation as well as its various advantages over sole proprietorships and partnerships, you may choose to conduct business as a corporation. The next thing you need to know is how to create a corporation. You now know that a corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law. A corporation cannot be created by mere agreement of the parties. There has to be an application for incorporation filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC. The SEC has to grant the application before the corporation starts to breathe life. Creating a corporation, therefore, involves a formal process. This process is called incorporation. Incorporation involves, first, coming up with the name of the corporation, second, raising the capital, third, drafting the articles of incorporation, fourth, drafting the bylaws, fifth, submission of documents to the SEC, and sixth, issuance of the certificate of incorporation by the SEC. First, you decide on the name of the corporation. The following are some rules you must observe in coming up with the corporate name. It must be distinguishable from other corporate names registered with the SEC for corporations and partnerships and the DTI for sole proprietorships. For example, the name Jollibee Foods Inc. may not be allowed as a corporate name as it may not be distinguishable from Jollibee Foods Corporation, a corporate name registered with the SEC. It shall contain the word corporation, incorporated, corp, or inc. So you can use either Sulit Foods Corporation, Sulit Foods Incorporated, Sulit Foods Corp, or Sulit Foods Inc. In the case of a one-person corporation, the name shall contain the word OPC. We will have a separate discussion on one-person corporations. The name of a person may be used provided he is a shareholder of the corporation and has agreed to the use of his name. So, provided Miguel Henio is a shareholder and he has given his consent to the use of his name, you can use Miguel Henio Inc. as a corporate name. You cannot use solely special symbols, punctuation marks, or specially designated characters. For example, the following cannot be used as corporate names. You cannot use the name of or names similar to the names of internationally known foreign corporations. For example, you cannot use the name Apple Corp because there is an internationally known foreign corporation named Apple Inc. The name of a location must be accompanied by descriptive words or phrases. For example, you cannot use the name Taguig Inc. You may, however, use Taguig Shopping Mart Inc. if you will be operating a shopping center. Having come up with a corporate name, the next thing to do is raise capital. Definitely, capital is needed to operate a business. However, during incorporation, no minimum amount of capital is required. This means that you do not need to have a lot of funds to be able to create a corporation. The law now allows you to form a corporation with minimum or even zero capital. This is to encourage the creation of corporations and attract investments in the country. You may raise capital later when the corporation already starts to conduct business. Note, however, that there are certain types of businesses that require minimum amounts of capital. For example, the capital for a main office of a lending company must be at least 1 million pesos and 300,000 pesos for its branch located in first-class cities. For a security agency, the required capital is at least 500,000 pesos. For pawn shops, it is at least 100,000 pesos. Next, you draft your articles of incorporation and bylaws. The Articles of Incorporation is a document which records the creation of the corporation. It contains the following information: the name of the corporation, the specific purpose or purposes for which the corporation is being formed, The place where the principal office of the corporation is to be located, which must be within the Philippines. The term for which the corporation is to exist. It can either be perpetual or a specific term. We will have a separate discussion on corporate term. Personal information of the incorporators. The incorporators are the persons who form the corporation. We will also have a separate discussion on incorporators. Personal information of the members of the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors is the governing body of the corporation. We will as well have a separate discussion on the Board of Directors. Information on its capital, including the amount, the number of shares, and the par value. We will have a separate discussion on the capital structure of a corporation. Note that a template of the Articles of Incorporation is available for download at the SEC website. The bylaws is a document which contains the set of internal rules established by the corporation for the orderly conduct of its activities. The bylaws contain rules on the conduct of meetings and manner of voting by the shareholders and the Board of Directors. We will have a separate discussion on shareholders. The qualifications, duties, and responsibilities of the Board of Directors and the corporate officers. We will also have a separate discussion later on corporate officers, and such other matters necessary for the conduct of operations. A template of the bylaws is also available for download at the SEC website. The next step is the submission of the documents with the SEC and the payment of the registration fees. The Articles of Incorporation must be submitted as a requirement for incorporation. The bylaws may either be submitted together with the Articles of Incorporation or separately after incorporation. When the SEC finds that all documents submitted are complete and compliant with requirements, it approves the application for registration and issues a certificate of incorporation. The certificate of incorporation is a document indicating that the business is officially recognized as a corporation. The certificate of incorporation is the birth certificate of the corporation. The date of its issuance is the date the corporation begins to exist. We will be having a separate course on starting a corporation for business, where we will further discuss the requirements and steps in creating a corporation. It will be available soon. In the meantime, check the next module to know more about corporations and how they operate.